Hello everyone, my name is Nihad Zimic and welcome to Critical and Creative Thinking. Have you ever gone to a boutique or clothing store and you saw a jacket, pants, or a dress that cost $100 or more? You thought, I could make this, but still ended up buying it anyways, right? So why? Well, it represented who you are, the style, the status, the image, the appearance, and you liked it. This jacket represents the status, the self-image, the appearance, the wealth that many of our critical minds had. Henry Miller started working at his father's tailor shop and developed the taste of fine clothing, just like Igor Stravinsky. Henry Miller was born in New York. He was the American 20th century writer, painter, and artist. He wrote Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. He wrote about personal experiences and troubles with the marriages that he had. He was raised in the working class of the American society in the 1900s, where people like himself were faced with such things as immigration, resentment, low wages, labor unions, and the right to vote for women. He didn't start his writing career until he was in his 30s, and well, at the beginning it didn't go well, and then he moved to France, Paris, France. He would travel to Greece and England to visit his friends and eventually come back to California and New York City. He was criticized by his fellow countrymen by the topics that he wrote on. And he suffered through poverty, and he basically described himself as growing on the street. William Butler Yeats, he was born in Dublin, Ireland, and he went to London to study. He was considered the greatest English-speaking poet of the 20th century. He was influenced by his father, who was an artist, and he gave him private lessons. He was surrounded by friends who had an influence on him. He was a lawyer by profession, but left the practice to begin art, and later published the works of poetry. He focused on topics such as feminism, nationalism, and mysticism. His greatest suffering was that he was rejected by his true love and other women that were surrounding him at the time. Maya Angelou, she was born in St. Louis, Missouri. She was famous for her poetry, acting, screenwriting, and the biggest thing was civil rights movement. She was the first African American woman who had a best-selling non-fictional work. Some of her sufferings include dropping out of high school to take care of her son. In general, life was difficult for her. Her parents were divorced. She faced racism, prejudice, discrimination. At an early age, she was raped, and she remained silent for many years, unable to talk. And through that, she also had a lot of unsuccessful marriages. But she had influential friends: Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Oprah Winfrey, President Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela. As much as she influenced them, they influenced her as well. Marion Milner, she was a psychoanalyst, psychologist, artist, and a writer. In her early years, her father had a nervous breakdown, and her mother, she also battled with depression. Most of her work was stationed around the inner reality and the external reality of the mind of the person. She also traveled through Greece, Israel, and she came back to the US to study at Harvard. She had many friends who influenced her, and her husband as well. Igor Stravinsky, he was a Russian composer, conductor, songwriter, and pianist who wrote about symbolism. He traveled to Switzerland, France, and came to US eventually. He was influenced by his mother and father, who gave him lessons in piano and music. But he would lose his father, and maybe he was the one who was holding him back to pursue the career of composition. But after his death, once his father died, he pursued to compose. His daughter and wife and mother all died from tuberculosis, and there are poems that are dedicated to them. Laurence Olivier, he was the best actor of the 20th century and film producer of England. He would travel to New York City and California to act and produce. His career began with performance of Shakespearean roles. He was influenced by his family. His father was a minister who gave speeches, and he would often rehearse with him. Mother made him act out and memorize speech plays from plays, such as Shakespeare. But once his mother passed away, he used that pain to act. He was encouraged to do what he loved, to act. He had many affairs throughout his lifetime that ended his marriage. His friends used to describe him as being a hollow man. Well, how am I like many of the creators of critical thinking? Well, we have the same struggles. Like Henry, I was at a point without money, no resources, no hope. So every person has the time that he reaches the high point of his life and the low point of his life. So don't be scared to take a risk and move on. Venture out of your comfort zone, which I did. Basically, giving is never a choice. The struggle that Henry talks about reminds me of where I came from. I mean, I came from Bosnia and Herzegovina, a country which was torn by war, the people murdered and many of them isolated. Like William Yeats, the struggle of love and rejection, he took this love outside his means and he put it into the feeling on paper. And like him, I keep a journal of my daily routines and what I go through. Like Maya, I worked various jobs to support my family. My father passed away when I was 16 years old. So I became the man of the house. Like Maya, she described it as being a caged bird. She was like, I am a caged bird. In a sense, I am too, but I'm waiting for the opportunity for those doors to open so I can be free. I don't have famous friends like she did, but I'm surrounded by wonderful people who guide me and support me. Marion Milner was not taken seriously in her work because she was a woman and her thinking method was different than the rest. So she was pushed aside. But she overcame this. So I understand how it is to be discriminated against religion, against nationality, name, religion, and so on. But it shouldn't stop you to overcome this and become something greater. Don't let discrimination stop you. Igor Stravinsky, I find myself like him. I mean, I'm a charming person with this self-image, a self-appearance, which is very important to me. However, I'm not big into music, but I do appreciate it. We have the same compassion and responsibility towards our family and others. I'm a caring father and a loving husband. Laurence Olivier had ambition and the pursuit of happiness. I possess these qualities as well, but I'm not famous like him. I don't look forward to remembering passages from Shakespearean plays. So our society honored these individuals. They gave them the Nobel Prize of Literature, academic award winners. They were starred in many movies, wrote many books and poems, and painted artwork. I mean, they traveled and were influenced by different cultures, their perspective, the norms and thought that they had within these countries. I too came from Bosnia, came to US, and now I live in Canada, which gives me a broader perspective and the view of thought from individuals and people in general. So I just want to switch over to the back. So it says critical creative minds, and this represents a globe. It's the world. And so since all of our critical thinkers, they traveled outside their country of birth, they went to England, France, eventually they came to New York City. But within this globe, there's words that describe them, their ambition, their determination, their influence. They are opportunists, they are illusionists, they are, I mean, it's all the qualities that great critical thinkers and minds have, the innovators. They came to New York City or California, United States. So many came to United States, this land of opportunity, the land of dreams, searching for that something better. Does it exist or was it an illusion? Well, we for ourselves have to find this out. Don't be scared to venture out. Don't be scared to try out different foods, to enjoy different cultures. I mean, you'll be surprised what you learn. At the end, I want to say that I will probably never be like Henry Miller, Maya Angelou, or Stravinsky, but I continue to try. My ambition, my determination, my travel, my enthusiasm, my critical thinking is something that I have in common with them. One day, I look forward that someone will read about me from the books of critical minds. One day I will be an inventor and a thinker. So with this said, I understand that this jacket is probably not $100 or $200 from Gucci or Armani or Nordstrom, but it's authentic and it's probably going to be selling for about $25. So I mean, I would like to put her on. So Henry Miller, W. Butler Yeats, Maya Angelou, Marion Milner, Igor Stravinsky, and Laurence Olivier, and critical and creative thinkers. And there's a boat on the bottom that signifies their journey through life. At this time, I want to say thank you. It was a pleasure having you all in the class.